500 subs. We gotta get to 500 subs. It's the only way I'm committing to a stream schedule. We're at 187.
So we've been covering a lot of YouTubers and celebrities that let fame get to their heads. But today I'm gonna give you probably the best of the bunch. And this is influencers that let fame get to their heads. So starting off at number 10, we have Jessie Taylor. So this one is really crazy. Basically, Jessie Taylor had a pretty popular Instagram page with over 100,000 followers on it. But after she got into some drama online with other influencers, their fans started to attack her page and reported it as spam. And because of all this, Instagram decided to take down her account. But the crazy part about all this is after all this happened and she was notified that Instagram had removed her account, she decided to do something completely reasonable and allegedly she called the police. And yes, this is a real thing that allegedly happened. She said that she did this because, quote, her Instagram account being deleted felt like a murder, she told this insider. And after she got in contact with the police and explained her situation, they of course did nothing because there was nothing they could do, like no crime was committed against her. In her own words, she said, quote, I called the police actually and told them about this. And they said, you can't compare a murder to this. And I was like, no, that's exactly what it felt like. So yeah, that's definitely someone who went a little crazy with influencer fame. And at number 9, Amanda Cerny. So this one's actually pretty recent, so I'm giving you guys some fresh tea. So the sitch here is that Amanda Cerny, who's an incredibly famous influencer who got her start on Vine, recently started streaming on Twitch. And during one of her streams, she kind of paused in the middle and said, quote, we gotta get to 500 subs, while looking directly at the camera. Continuing, quote, it's the only way I'm committing to the stream schedule. We're at 187, like, I don't know what to tell you. So after this, a lot of people were really upset and she got a lot of backlash for being so entitled for followers. She responded to some of the backlash on Twitter where she argued that she never said she wouldn't stream, just that it couldn't be her main focus without having enough of a following on there. But people still did not like the way that it looked, with a lot of people commenting that she should be happy with the 187 fans that she does have, instead of begging for more. With some smaller creators saying that they would be incredibly grateful for any number of followers, never mind 187. And some other accused her of not really being interested in the streams, but only being interested in money, as she knows that gaming is a huge moneymaker right now. And at number 8, Garden Stomper. So I called this one Garden Stomper because I wasn't actually able to get the identity of who this person was, but it was still pretty juicy, so I wanted to include it. So in this one, an influencer and her photographer decided to take some photos at a botanical garden called Garfield Park Conservatory, which by itself, you know, isn't anything crazy. Until you learn that she decided to enter the restricted area of the gardens in order to take the pictures. And as you can see by the photo, she's literally behind the metal things that essentially, you know, tells you it's restricted and not to go behind there. And she's stepping right on the plants in order to take these pictures. So of course, after seeing this, tons of people complained and started to call her out and tried to get the staff involved. And the staff told her to leave the area many times. But after she didn't listen and still decided to take pictures, their security finally escorted her out and banned her and the photographer from coming back. And this is just so crazy, like thinking that it's okay to literally destroy plants that are in this garden specifically to be preserved. Just so insane to me. Now, I don't know if this girl actually has any followers because, you know, I don't know who it is, but I'm assuming that she feels entitled enough to do this because she probably has followers, unfortunately. And at number 7, Serene Martin. So this is another one that is just insane and proves just how removed from reality that some influencers can be. So Serene, who's based in Singapore, decided to contact a gym for a personal training regimen so that she could prepare for a fitness competition. But not only did she want this personal trainer for free for 12 long weeks in exchange for her promotion, but she also wanted the gym to pay her $3,000 in this arrangement as well. But the owner of the gym, Daphne Maya Liu, did not take this offer very well and decided to blast the influencer on her Facebook page, where she reiterated that her exposure would not pay the company's bills and that she was deeply insulted that she would ask the gym for money for a program that she wanted to span 12 whole weeks. And the people in the comments on the Facebook post did not hold back. They congratulated Liu for taking a stand and even told her to include the influencer's name, which she did not in her post, but tons of people in the comments wrote it. And at number 6, Kayla Massa. So this is actually a story that I covered on the channel a little while back, but I actually thought it would be a really good story to include here if you missed it. So Massa had an Instagram account with over 300,000 followers and a YouTube channel with over 100,000 subscribers. And she decided to totally abuse her following by allegedly scamming her followers out of millions of dollars. The sitch here is that she advertised to her followers that they could make money quickly if they gave her access to their bank accounts and PIN information. And to summarize, the scam was that Massa would deposit fake checks and money orders into the accounts, and once they went through, she would quickly spend all the money on legitimate checks that she would deposit into her own real bank account. But the scam comes in when the bank realizes that these checks are fraudulent, and then they take the money out of the account of, the people that gave her their accounts. Then the account owner is left with a negative balance that they then have to pay up to the bank, and it's usually, as you can imagine, thousands of dollars. Halfway through number 5, Verity Johnson. So this one's actually a little different, but I wanted to include it anyways because I think it's an interesting perspective. So this is actually an article on a woman who used to be an influencer, and she described how being an Instagram model in her 20s made her a terrible person. The article is actually called, quote, "I was Insta famous and it was one of the worst things to happen in my 20s." So she's very upfront about her journey in the article, and she states that she was offered a job at a daily TV show, and because she was on TV every day, her Instagram following quickly grew. And she says as a result of this fame, she became awful, and she's very entitled, self-obsessed, and incredibly dull. In the piece, she said, quote, "Social media feeds those darkest parts of every personality, encouraging you to rant on Twitter, brag on Facebook, and be vain on Insta. Vanity sells on the gram. The hotter the pic, the better it does. So the more time you spend in the mirror creating them." And she now says that she's aware of how toxic it is. She now calls herself an ex-influencer and finished off the piece by saying, quote, "I realized in order to stay Insta famous, I'd have to nurture the most pathetic parts of my own psyche. And honestly, no amount of free ombre activewear is worth that." And it was really, really refreshing for me to see someone that was incredibly self-aware that her fame was completely going to her head and completely changing her as a person. So she decided to change her path, and she believes she's a better person for it now. And at number 4, Entitled Intern. So this is one I found on Reddit where the influencer's name was not disclosed, but in this one, an intern at a company is telling their story of when an influencer came to intern at their workplace, but was a total brat who didn't do anything. They also said she was the daughter of one of their biggest clients, so that just made things even worse. The person said that not only did the influencer not actually do anything, she would show up late and leave early, and she would call in sick and then post photos of her out on her Instagram. I guess completely forgetting that her coworkers could totally look at it and then see that she was completely lying. And what made the poster even more angry is the realization that she would have totally been fired for this sort of behavior, but the influencer got a pass because she was the client's daughter. And at number 3, At Another Beautiful Day. Okay, so this couple is wild. Basically, Caitlin Onk and Elena Engelhart run an Instagram account called Another Beautiful Day. And since a lot of their blog is based around travel, they decided they wanted to do a long cycling trip around Africa, and the whole thing would cost about 10,000 pounds. But instead of making the money themselves, they decided to ask their loyal followers to give them the money they needed to fund the trip instead. They made a GoFundMe page that's surprisingly still up to this day, even with all the backlash that they received. And on the GoFundMe page, they describe how they want to show their followers life how it really is, but they need their followers' help to go on this adventure, saying that all of the money would be used to fund the essentials needed on the trip. And at the time of this video, they had about 1,100 pounds donated, so I guess not everyone thought it was crazy, and some people actually gave them their money, but a lot of people did think it was crazy, with them getting a swift backlash for being too entitled to work a normal job to earn the money themselves. With a lot of people pointing out one of their earlier captions where they wrote, quote, "I've seen and done too much to just go back to a normal job." And honestly, if that doesn't say it all, I don't really know what does. And at number 2, the Dobre brothers. Okay, so this is one you've probably heard of because I think we covered it as a news story on the channel a while back, but this just really, really broke my heart when I saw it, to be honest. So the Dobre brothers, who are also former Team 10 members, along with 2 other people, were at a meet and greet where fans paid extra to meet them. And their video went viral on TikTok that showed a young girl going up to the brothers. And when she said hi and tried to interact with them, they did not even acknowledge her whatsoever and didn't even take the effort to even smile at her. They literally just stayed the exact same, put their hand on her, and looked at the camera that was taking the picture. And then they hardly said anything to her after she awkwardly walked off and looked pretty disappointed, in my opinion. After the video started to go viral on Twitter with people calling them out, Lucas Dobre tweeted an apology on behalf of the group, where in summary he said they had been working for 48 hours and were completely exhausted. But a lot of people didn't really care and said that even when they're exhausted, they do their best to give customers a better experience at their workplaces, with others telling them that they should be more appreciative towards their fans as they're the ones that give them the means to live their current lives. And at number 1, we have @PuzzledTravelty. Okay, so this last one is really dangerous, not just for the people being photographed, but for their fans as well. So Kelly Castile and Cody Workman were a couple that run a travel blog on Instagram, but some of their most famous photographs have been called out as they show the couple in incredibly dangerous situations, like this one in particular that shows them kissing while the woman is literally hanging off the edge of an infinity pool. And many were quick to call them out for being so careless and putting their life in danger just for a photograph and to get some likes on Instagram. But after the backlash, the couple came out saying that it was not as dangerous as it looked, and there was another pool beneath her that would have caught her if she fell. And while some people forgave them after the explanation, others felt it was very reckless for them to influence other people into potentially doing this while not providing the full context of the situation. So starting off with number 10, we have bad review after no discount. So this is a wild one where the influencer was not revealed, but basically someone posted a Yelp review of an Italian restaurant that had 1 star on Reddit. And when you read the review, you discovered that it was written by an influencer who said that she loved the food and she told the manager that she would be posting it on her social media accounts. But when the check came and the meal was still full price, she gave the restaurant a 1 star review because, quote, the manager needs to understand how to treat customers. So to summarize here, the girl says that the food was amazing, but ended up giving it a 1 star because it wasn't discounted. Because I'm pretty sure the manager could have cared less if this girl posted it to her account. To quote what was said in the review, she said, quote, I told the manager it was some of the best Italian food I've ever had, and I told her I'm gonna post it on my Instagram where I have over 11,000 followers. And I thought she would be grateful for the free advertising, but when the check came, there was no discount at all. Continuing that she thought at least one of the entrees would be taken off, but when the bill came full price, she decided that she would never step foot in there again. And if that just doesn't say it all, I truly don't know what does. Then up at number 9, Elle Darby. So the story about Elle Darby asking for a free stay to a hotel in Dublin called the Charleville Lodge went ultra viral because instead of just replying no, the owner of the hotel put her on blast and put the email that Darby had sent to him on his hotel's Facebook page with her asking for a free stay in exchange for promotion on her Instagram account. After this happened, it quickly went viral and tons of people started to hate on Darby, as even though he didn't include her name, people were able to figure out that it was her pretty quickly. And after this, many online called her entitled and told her to pay for the things that she wants. Then because of all the hate she was receiving, she actually made a response video on her YouTube channel explaining her side of the story. People in particular were getting on her for saying that she had done a similar deal with Orlando Studios prior and it was, quote, great for them. But even though many here took the opportunity to hate on her and all other influencers in general, many backed her up and shamed the hotel for being so unprofessional and putting this girl on blast for really no apparent reason. And I gotta say for this one, I'm kind of on Darby's side. Like, she sent a polite and professional email, and if the company didn't want to do the deal, they could have just ignored it or said no, not gotten thousands of people to, cyberbully this poor girl, who's not even as entitled as some of the other people on this list. And at number 8, Marissa Fuchs. So Marissa Fuchs, aka Fashion Ambitionist on Instagram, went viral online after her fiance Gabriel Grossman filmed a 3-day-long scavenger hunt that ended in him proposing and then having an impromptu wedding right after. But things quickly turned when The Atlantic discovered a marketing deck, and people quickly concluded that this whole thing was just a marketing stunt. And it seemed like the entire internet was mocking the couple for thinking that they could get away with this without anyone noticing anything fishy. However, after the story blew up, Marissa claimed that she had no idea what was happening, that the whole thing was a genuine surprise to her. Apparently, her fiance worked with one of Marissa's oldest friends on the proposal plan, and she's apparently the person responsible for the sleek marketing deck and all the great content that came out of the proposal. And she continued that her fiance paid for every part of the proposal as well. But of course, after all this, people were still pretty suspicious and accused her of using a very special moment for content and likes on the gram. And at number 7, Mariel Marrero. This is another crazy one with a lot of details, but a YouTuber named Mar, whose real name is Mariel Marrero, went to a salon in Vegas to do the whole going to the worst rated thing in my city that had become super huge on YouTube at the time. And of course, since she had wanted to make a video about it, she vlogged the whole thing. But in the thumbnail of the video, she claims that the salon gave her a skin infection. And since she did not try at all to hide the name of the salon, the owners quickly found out. In the video, she was calling the products names like, quote, salmonella in a jar and salmonella spray. And then when the artist was applying makeup, there was text that said, casually getting a skin infection. But after this started to get a lot of attention online, the daughter of the makeup artist called out the YouTuber on Twitter, saying that the whole thing was just fabricated for views. And then questioning how she could have basically finished a bottle of skin cream she got for the infection that she had only gotten a few days earlier. And after a back and forth with the daughter saying that she was lying and asking for a doctor's note, and then the YouTuber saying that she was not lying, nothing was really resolved to my knowledge. Up at number 6, Jake Paul. So of course Jake Paul was gonna be on this list because in the early days of Team 10, he definitely did a lot of things that most normal people just wouldn't do because he was famous. One incident was when he jumped on top of a KTLA news van and then made fun of the news reporter's shoes when he asked him to get off the van. KTLA was down there reporting as Jake Paul's neighbors were complaining about all the ruckus he caused in their neighborhood and all the fans that constantly were on their street. One neighbor said, quote, it used to be a really nice quiet street and now we're just this war zone. Then the reporter told Jake how his neighbors described living next to him as, quote, a living hell and a circus. Then Jake responded, I mean, people like going to circuses, right? Yeah, really no comment after that one. I think you guys definitely get what I'm saying. Up at number 5, the Ingham family. So in this one, a family decides to sell a life-size replica of their child. I guess it's a trend going around in the doll community to buy incredibly realistic looking dolls. So this YouTube family called the Ingham family decided to get in on the trend and sell a replica of their 4-month-old child. The doll is supposed to look like Jace, their son, when he was 2 weeks old. There was 250 of the dolls produced and they were selling for $346 each. And it comes with a birth certificate and some outfits for the doll. So after this announcement, there was some support for the doll, but there was also a lot of backlash from people that found it really gross that they would be selling such an intimate thing, with one viewer writing, quote, he's your baby, no one else's. Why would you want someone to have a replica of your own child? It's honestly wrong on so many levels. And then another bringing up another point, quote, what if a weirdo buys one? With a concerning emoji. And yeah, this one's definitely a little strange to me. And at number 4, Tiffany Mitchell. Lifestyle blogger Tiffany Mitchell, who runs the page at Tiforally, got some backlash after she got in a motorcycle accident and then decided to post very posed looking pictures on her Instagram right after it happened, making it all look like it was kind of staged or something. But she responded back to this by saying, quote, she would never turn a very important personal story like this into a brand campaign to BuzzFeed News. She also added that she is sad that people are taking it this way and politely requested that BuzzFeed News not proceed with writing this story as it would, quote, draw negative attention to her. But they obviously did end up running it. In her post that got all the attention, she wrote that her photographer friend was driving alongside taking photos of her at the time of the accident. The friend then continued to snap photos during and after the traumatic event, and that's why she had the photos to post to her Instagram. She wrote very lengthy captions on the post essentially telling her story of the events that took place after the accident. But some of the photos looked really staged in my opinion. Like, am I the only one that thinks this photo of her with the smart water looks really carefully placed? And commenters agreed, saying things like, quote, this must have been super scary and I'm glad you're okay, but if my friend continued to take photos while I was lying semi-unconscious in the road, I'd be furious. I love your photos, but it's a little weird to include those. And another added, how are people commenting like this is normal? Up at number 3, Backpack Diaries. Jean and Camille of Backpack Diaries on Instagram are another couple that were called out for putting their lives at risk just for an Instagram photo. The pair were traveling to Ella, Sri Lanka, and allegedly took the picture while the train was moving along a bridge through dense trees. They captioned the picture, quote, one of our wildest kisses, to make it sound as daring as it looked. But the picture was also quickly criticized for promoting dangerous behaviors to their fans and just being very reckless all around, with people commenting things like, quote, and then they wonder why people die by getting similar pics. And maybe bleep die there. And quote, it has nothing to do with wilderness, it's pure stupidity. And then implying that it will be on the couple if someone hurts themselves by trying to do this. After all the backlash, the couple responded saying, quote, when we took the picture, the train was moving at a walking speed and the edge was not deep at all. Continuing, quote, we would never risk our lives or health to get a good picture. We care too much for each other. In at number 2, Polo. So Rossi Lothario Adams II, aka Polo, gained his online popularity by creating a few Instagram accounts that he would regularly post to. But he was best known for a social media company called State Snaps, where he would take pictures around Iowa State University in around 2015. And he was famous for the hashtag #DoItForState. But the problem was that someone else owned the domain for doitforstate.com. And that's when he went to extreme measures to try and take the domain from the man, forcefully, with Adams persuading his cousin to hold the owner of the domain, Ethan Deo, at gunpoint in an attempt to force him to hand over the domain name. After Deo was able to get out of the situation without handing over the domain, he of course called the cops, and this ended with Adams and his cousin going away for 14 and 20 years respectively. And after seeing this story unfold, I just wanted to reiterate that doing an incredibly illegal act for a domain name to uphold your Instagram fame is definitely a bad idea. And I'm sure you IOers already know that, so I don't have to tell you. Then finally at number 1 is Cena O'Neill. So since you guys know I sometimes like to include a different take on these types of videos so it's not all negativity, taking the number 1 spot here is Asina. So you might not know of her, but if you've been around for a while, you might have remembered how she made tons of headlines when she quit social media. When she quit social media a few years back. Basically, Asina had close to 700,000 followers on Instagram when she decided to quit social media and reveal the truth behind all of her carefully curated images, and how social media completely ruined her life and made her much more narcissistic and out of touch with reality. She wrote, quote, I remember I obsessively checked the like count for a week since uploading it. This was when I was so hungry for social media validation. Now marks the day I quit all social media to focus on real life projects. And after she said all this, she said that this YouTube video would be the last thing that she ever posted to any of her social medias. But after she blew up when other influencers and celebrities celebrated her openness and were happy to see that they were not the only ones feeling this way. After this, she decided to make a website to be her new blog called letsbegamechangers.com, where she would be as real as possible and not make any money off her posts. But it seems like the site is no longer hers, and it seems like she's living her life completely off social media now. So I wanted to include someone who saw the fame going to their head, but then decided to get out and take care of themselves. But before I go, I'm gonna shout out some comments from celebrities that are mean in real life, part 3. So Lisa CJ said, personally, I would never approach a celebrity, let alone approach and ask for a photo or an autograph. It feels invasive and inappropriate to me. And yeah, like I completely agree, but I do think that if you do it correctly and like respectfully and, you know, it makes sense in that moment, then, you know, it's not the most terrible thing, and celebrities just could be a little more kind about it when they are approached. But also, I guess we do have to say the people in those stories that like I talked about in the last video, we have no idea how they approach the celebrities, right? I mean, they could have been really obnoxious or whatever, and that's why the celebrities were I guess more rude to them. Then Marlene Eleanor said, not surprised with Jennifer Lopez, never liked her. How dare she insult Winona and Cameron, they're talented actresses. Well, Lopez acts like the best actress that walked, she's so overrated. Kind of agreed, like she's acting like she's Meryl Streep or something, like commenting on others people's acting. It's just really way out of line. Then Nancy Haney said, when quarantine is over, 99% of famous people will be canceled. And truly, I have to agree with that. We're getting to kind of a bad place, but I did really want to confirm, I don't think that we should cancel anyone in the Mean Celebrities videos, because celebrities do have bad days and we don't know like the full context of the situations around them. So yeah, I'm not trying to cancel anyone, but you know, we're just sharing some tea. But before I go, I'm gonna shout out some comments from part 1. So Pixie Dust Wrangler said, every time I hear the word influencer, I cringe. Well, then that last one must have been a very cringy video for you. If you're stupid enough to be influenced into taking dangerous, life-risking photographs by some nobodies on Instagram, I say go for it. Natural selection will be there to greet you. Okay, savage, but I do kind of agree with you on the one hand, but I only worry about really young people like preteens, but hopefully their parents will make sure that they don't do stuff like that for likes. Then Liam said, the fact InformOverload is still making videos during lockdown inspires me to do work. Well, maybe later. I feel like you just said what we're all thinking there. But yeah, we want to inspire you to watch our videos in between doing things that are hopefully productive. We want a bit of productivity as well as laziness. We like an equal amount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Execs.